Okay, so we've got this movie, and there's a high school kid in it who's always filming stuff with his camcorder, and he's talking about beauty. He's obsessed with the beauty in everyday things. And we have to get him. He has a monologue where he talks about something beautiful that he's filmed, but we got to find something.
I have an idea. Okay. What if he films a butterfly flying through the air?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of movies have used butterflies.
It could land on something.
Butterflies. I mean, I can see a butterfly outside my window. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay. What about the miracle of life? What's more beautiful than life?
Well, how do you film the miracle of life?
I mean, he could find a dog giving birth. I don't know.
That's just gross.
Okay.
Nobody wants to see a dog giving birth, huh?
Okay.
And licking the placenta off of a puppy.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Look, this has to be something that is completely ubiquitous to the human condition. Every viewer can feel it down in the depths of their soul.
I know.
They feel at one with it.
I know what it is.
What do you got?
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again?
I feel like that literally every day.
What if he films a plastic bag floating in the wind?
Good God Almighty, you just slayed the cat.
I did it.
Slay the Cat Podcast.
Slay the cat is speaking truth. Slay the cat is proof. Hear us talk your favorite film. Slay the cat is juiced. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast.
What's up to all my pot-smoking, weightlifting dads out there? You're listening to Slay the Cat, a movie podcast. I'm your host, Joey, alongside my wife and co-host...
Someone who's not sexually frustrated, Aaron.
Nice.
Thanks.
Okay, guys, so we took a week off, but we are back.
Yeah.
And we're better than ever. We were going to talk about the movie Nebraska, but we got a little busy.
Yeah, I have been working on a show recently. We had contests, a lot of contests. So, but we're done with contests now, and I have more time.
Yes.
A little bit more time. Not much. Because we're still working on another show.
Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about the 1999 award-winning film American Beauty. But first we have a little bit of family news.
Yep.
We are getting the big D. No, not divorce. A dog.
A dog. Woof, woof. He's going to be so cute. His name will be Giuseppe, and he is an Italian Greyhound. And we cannot wait to include him in our family.
Yes, we have already reserved him from a breeder. Our daughter wanted a cat. And we were totally down with getting a cat. I like cats. Aaron, you're not a huge cat fan?
Not a huge cat fan, but I can learn to love a cat.
Yes.
I have loved a cat in previous times.
They will grow on you if you're around them. But then so many of my family members and a close personal friend of mine are allergic to cats. Yeah. So we decided not to, and our daughter was very upset. So we're like, let's look at different dog breeds.
Yeah, and let's look at dog breeds that are cat-like.
Yes.
A little bit. So we looked around, and we have always wanted an Italian Greyhound.
I've always really liked Italian Greyhounds.
And they are pretty quiet compared to a lot of other dogs. They're not really yappy.
Yeah, they're not yappy dogs.
They are pretty relaxed. I mean, they get the zoomies sometimes, but for the most part, they want to just be cuddled up next to you. And one of the things she wanted to do was dress up the cat. And we kept telling her, cats don't really like that.
Yeah.
But Italian Greyhounds love to be dressed up because they're always cold.
Yeah, when we were looking at different dogs, as soon as she found out that Italian Greyhounds don't mind being dressed up, she's like, I want that.
Yeah.
And she would not get off of that. And another one of our criteria was we wanted something that is easy to groom with short hair. I do not like long hair dogs. Like, something about that long hair bothers me. They feel even more dirty than a regular dog to me.
Okay.
I don't like it. I like when I'm around other people's long hair dogs, I'll still pet them.
Yeah.
And I'll still play with them, but I don't want to own one.
Yeah. They're also, Italian Greyhounds are a lot less stinky than other dogs.
Yeah.
So that's another plus for me because we had a dog previously. His name was Chicken, and he was a little barker. He loved to bark.
No, he didn't love to bark. He was a very anxious dog.
And so he barked a lot because he was so
barked.
scared of everything. And he also didn't smell the best, even when we gave him baths. So he was
I don't know what was wrong with him.
I don't know. He also he just had some problems,
Yeah.
which is okay because we still loved him. But I'm excited to have a dog that's not stinky.
Well, also, Chicken was my dog that I had years before we even met.
Yeah.
So you guys just kind of got saddled with this guy who was my little companion dog. But he died 2 years ago, and I was devastated. But I'm so happy to be getting a new dog.
I know.
Yeah, and it'll be in the month that is 2-year anniversary of his death. So
Yeah.
yeah, this means a lot to me. And this is really for our daughter, though.
It is. She's been wanting a companion. She doesn't want a sibling. She has told us that many times. Because we'll say, oh, well, like siblings are like this. Also,
She can't have a sibling.
We can't. I was about to say we can't have sibling. She can't have a sibling. We can't get pregnant.
I got the snipped. The snipped? Did I really say that? I
The
got
snipped. You got snipped. And we didn't want another kid. We don't want another kid. Not because we don't like kids. It's just it doesn't work for us. We love our one, and we're good with that.
If you asked us what our reasons are for stopping with one kid, it is endless. There's
limitless
an endless
list.
list of why we don't want another kid.
Yeah.
So we won't get into that.
But we are going to get a dog, and I'm super excited.
You're already making clothes for it.
I did. I made him a sweater today. Not knitted. I hand sewed it with a machine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, out of some cloth that you had laying around, right?
So I'm excited I have extra cloth still, and I'm like, I'm going to make him a button-up shirt. I'm going to make him some pajamas. I'm super pumped.
Wow.
It took me like no time to make that little sweater.
Yeah. Yeah, you make costumes for theater, so you know how to sew.
Yeah. So
you're
it's
not
helpful.
a seamstress, but you can make some pretty decent costumes.
Thank you.
I have seen them. You've told me like, oh, do you remember that costume that this person was wearing? And you're like, I made that. And I was like, you made that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made. Yesterday I made our daughter a skirt because she's going to be in a play in Mackers, McBee, the Scottish play.
Aaron, we're not in a theater. You can say Macbeth.
Macbeth.
You can say Macbeth in our house.
I know. But even that superstition proceeds outside of the theater. I feel like people are like, I just can't say it at all. Yeah, she's doing Macbeth and she's Lady Macbeth. So I made her a skirt for the play that they're doing. They're doing it next week on Saturday. So not this Saturday, but next.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Yeah, I really like it when she is in a play that you don't direct.
I know. Yeah, it's really nice because I get to enjoy it too.
Yeah, it's a surprise because we don't we don't know anything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, she works on it with somebody else, and then we just get to show up and enjoy it.
It's really great for me.
Yeah. For you,
Especially,
yeah.
But also, I think other people enjoy seeing her in something that, like, because, like, sometimes I'll come home and I'll be like, oh, like, this is how rehearsal was. So you get an idea of, like, how things are throughout the process.
Yeah. And also, I mean, she has a different dynamic with you when you're directing the show.
Yeah.
And so I like to see how well she works with other people. And she's a very easygoing kid. So
Yeah.
she usually does pretty well working with other people.
Yeah. So I made her a skirt and I made Macbeth a kilt. So that's fun.
Okay. Well, enough family BS for now. Aaron, American Beauty. Have you ever heard of it? You ever seen it? What'd you know about it?
So I didn't know what this movie was about at all. I've heard of it. I've just heard the name, and the scene with her covered in, like, the rose petals. Funny story. One time when I was young, I walked into the living room and my brother and my cousin were looking at that image, and I thought they were looking at porn.
Oh, no.
I was so, like, I freaked out and, like, ran out of the room because it scared me because I was pretty young.
Right. Yeah. You were young when this movie came out.
When did it come out?
99.
Oh yeah. So I'm like six years old. And so that
I was a high school freshman.
Oh, gross. Anyways, but yeah, the moment where she's, like, on the ceiling and that I saw, it wasn't the video. I think it was just that picture. And they were looking at it and I was like, oh my God, they're looking at porn. So that's all I know about this movie.
Oh, okay.
I only knew that scene happened.
All right.
I didn't even know where it happened or how it happened.
But I thought you knew the plastic bag thing too, which is kind of famous.
So the plastic bag thing, I only know because of the movie Not Another Teen Movie.
Right. Yeah.
Which they make fun of that bit in it.
Yeah.
But it's not done like...
It's not very good. It's just like a kid who's got a bag attached to him or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was... I didn't know anything else about this movie.
No. Okay. Well, like I said, it came out in 1999. I was in high school, and my parents rented it because it won a bunch of Academy Awards. And they watched it, and then I think, like, the next day, like, I watched it, and it really, like, blew me away as a high school student because I'd never really seen movies like this.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like, I watched this movie.
Seen movies like this how?
Like, I don't know.
Like the message or the way it was shot?
No, just everything. Like, you know, it's about people dealing with a crisis in their life. And, like, when you're young, you watch, like, horror movies or action movies. I hadn't really seen something like that was kind of artistic like this, too.
Yeah.
And so it really blew me away as a teenager. But then as I've watched it over the years, it's like, oh, you know, you see more artistic films. And you're like, okay, well, maybe this wasn't as good as I thought it was. And watching it this time, I haven't seen it in many years. I haven't seen it since having a kid. And I just turned 40 this year. So I'm 3 years younger than the main character, Lester Burnham or whatever.
Yeah.
So I saw this in a completely different way than I did when I was a teenager, and I really loved it. But I thought this movie was, like, totally amazing when I was a teenager, just because I hadn't really seen a whole lot of stuff. But it stars Kevin Spacey, Annette Bening, Thora Birch, Wes Bentley, Mia Solvari, Peter Gallagher, Chris Cooper, Scott Bakula. I mean, this cast is pretty stacked, and it's got, like, an early appearance of John Cho and one other guy I recognized that is not on this cast list. Maybe it'll come to me later. I don't know. But anyway, also, let's get out of the way now. We know Kevin Spacey is, like, a gigantic piece of shit. Do you know Kevin Spacey?
His voice sounded familiar, but I don't know who he was.
Oh, well, his voice might sound familiar. Did you like that movie, A Bug's Life?
Yeah.
You know the main villain in that, who was like the grasshopper?
The grasshopper?
That was his
really?
voice. Yeah.
Okay. Well, his voice sounded familiar the whole time. Not even from that. Like, yeah, okay. But I feel like I've heard his voice other places.
I mean, he's been in, before he was, Me Too'd, he had been in so many movies.
Oh, wait, he was Me Too'd?
Yeah, you don't know about this?
No.
Okay.
I
didn't want to tell you.
This is a thing about me, guys. I don't know people's names.
Yeah.
So when you say just Kevin Spacey, it doesn't put anything in my brain.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't want to tell you about it before we watched the movie.
Yeah.
And then I just decided to wait. In case anybody out there is listening and thinking like, why would they do a movie with Kevin Spacey? Look, we know that he's a piece of shit.
I don't.
Yeah, well,
but I don't know anything about him. So
yeah, well, you don't know that he's a piece of shit, and you just watched a movie, so it's not like we're not doing this movie to put him up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So don't think that. So I just wanted to bring that up in the beginning. It's like, yes, this movie is starring an absolute. Like, I mean, this guy is like.
What did he do?
He's gay, and he was. I don't even know the details of it, but he was. Probably a psychopath. Like, he did some pretty awful stuff, and he got away with it because he preyed on gay men. People get away with committing crimes against gay men a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
Even like serial killers and stuff. So I don't know the details of it, but like, he was sued, and then some of the people that sued him ended up like taking their own lives, I think.
Oh my gosh.
And like, the guy's just a complete psychopath. But I don't want anybody to think that we're doing this movie because we like him. We're doing this movie because it was a big film at the time, and it won 5 Academy Awards and all that.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't tell you when we were watching the movie because I didn't want to change the way you were seeing the movie. Mm-hmm. But he is a complete human piece of garbage, and I'm glad he's not working anymore. It's a shame, too, because he was a really great actor, and he was in a lot of stuff. And I liked his work, but I didn't... until it came out, I didn't know anything about his personal life.
When did that come out?
Oh, man, I don't know when all that Me Too stuff happened. Maybe 2017, 2018? I mean, you can look at his IMDb, and the second it stops...
Wow.
That's probably when it was. I feel like one of his last movies was Baby Driver.
I don't know that movie.
Yeah, why would you?
Okay. What were we talking about before we got on Kevin Spacey?
Just our backgrounds with the movie.
The stacked cast.
Yeah, just the stacked cast. And I was saying my background with the movie, like, I really liked it when I was a teenager because it felt so different to me. But, I mean, it's really just like a midlife crisis kind of movie, which there's plenty of those. But I think this one, like, it's got a great cast, a lot of really great acting in it.
Yeah. Is it Mina?
Yeah, Mina Solvari.
Well, she was in a music video. I've seen her before, but
she was also in American Pie. So she does a lot of American movies.
she was in the music video, the Teenage Dirtbag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't that for American Pie?
I don't know.
I feel like that song was like the main song for some movie that came out in the 90s.
I don't know.
I don't know either. All right. So what were your kind of like initial thoughts of the film? What did you think you were watching, or how did you feel about it?
Initially, whenever we started watching it, it first comes in with that video of Jane and like in Ricky's room.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Where she talks about like, "Hey, I want you to kill my dad." And so I was like, "Oh shit, this dude's gonna fucking kill her dad."
Yeah.
Which it did a really good job of kind of putting. Especially after watching all the way to the end, you kind of were like, who did it? Like, there's so many people that have a reason to kill him or have a reason in their brain to kill him. So you're you're kind of thinking at the end, like, who's going to kill this guy? Because even after that scene, he talks about how, like, there's like a voiceover, and it's like, they say like something about the first day of the rest of your life, but you don't think about that on the day you die.
Right.
Or something like that. And so he's going to die at the end of this movie from the beginning. But the whole time you're kind of piecing, okay, who's going to kill him? Is it his daughter? Is it her boyfriend? Is it his wife? Or is it this girl, this teenager that, because in the beginning she tells him, or she's telling Ricky how like her dad's fawning over her friend that comes over, and she's sick of it, and she's like, he's a pervert and I hate it.
Yeah. So
going straight into the movie, I was like, okay, this is like a whodunit kind of movie.
Right.
And I love the way it's filmed. It's filmed in like, I don't know what the cinematography did to make it feel like that, but it feels very dreary the whole entire movie. It's not like super brightly colored, and like everything's supposed to be like perfect because their lives have to look perfect, especially hers, his wife, Carolyn.
Right.
But overall, like the film feels like grayish.
Yeah, it does have a grayish, subdued feel to it. I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to like signify like the darkness of like conforming to society or something like that. Because as
it goes on until he dies, his life starts to get brighter as it goes on.
Yeah.
It's very dark in the beginning, and then it kind of gets brighter when he's like on the day he's going to actually die.
Yeah.
But then it goes into rain, and so.
Yeah, it rains that night. Damn, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, there is the darkness of it, and that it is like an ideal suburb.
Yeah.
And but it's like this whole movie is about like the masks that we wear, to conform in society, and the whole like keeping up with the Joneses. And,
you have to keep a good, like, you have to make everyone think that you're in a good place. I mean, even now with social media, people are like, oh, look at me, I'm doing all of these things, even if they're not doing them.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people would say like, oh, that's the thing that happens now because of social media, but no.
This has been happening for a long time.
This was going on back in 1999 in the 60s and all that stuff. People see you, and you live in a neighborhood surrounded by people. And everybody's trying to show off, and everybody's trying to put their best foot forward and like not let them know about the fact that like they have a sexless marriage and they hate each other and then their daughter hates them. Like to the outside world, they may seem like the perfect family.
Yeah.
Right. Another thing that's really funny about this movie to me is how their neighbors, you know who Scott Bakula is?
No.
He was one of the gay neighbors, but I love the gay neighbors because they're the only people in the movie who have their shit together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like they love each other. They have great jobs. They exercise. They're nice to their neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really funny. Like kind of a little trope to me because I feel like they wouldn't, especially in 1999, they wouldn't make the gay couple
the one that's together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like first impressions of the film, like it is hitting on a subject that is very real. And I even had friends in my high school that were having inappropriate relationships with adults.
Oh yeah.
And so I think the film does a pretty good job of giving you that glimpse of like what that horror is. Because granted, I don't think that whoever wrote Mina or Angela very well in this movie. I've never heard a teenage girl talk the way she talks.
Oh, not exactly like that, but I do remember going to school with girls who are like trying to lean into like, oh, I'm cool because I have sex or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like pretending like they're okay with somebody sexually assaulting them, essentially. Because there's that one part where she's like, oh yeah, the photographer showed me his penis or whatever. It's like, no, that would be traumatic.
Yes.
And she's like, no, I liked it. But I remember girls doing that in high school. Like trying to lean into, but it's because they think that's what they need to act like to maybe make boys like them or seem cooler than other girls. Maybe they don't talk like that, but that is like sort of a person that I would know in high school.
Well, if it was definitely an extreme version.
Yeah.
Because the way she talks, it made me blush.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not saying this is a common thing. Yeah. But I do remember someone specifically I can think of in high school. But I think it was just like she's supposed to be insecure. Yeah, she is. Yeah. So, and she's like, oh, I don't want to be ordinary.
Yeah. And like her character, I think she portrays it very well. Like she does this character arc, like the character arc is even, she does a really great job in delivering that character arc. But I just feel like the line, like she gave everything to that movie because like the lines that she says, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've never heard a teenage girl talk like that, especially like talking about a dad's penis to her friend, like her dad's penis. Yeah. That is disgusting. I never in my life have had a friend talk about my father's or me or anyone talk about someone's parents' genitals and like wanting to be with them. Like that is so extreme.
Yeah, but also they set up that her character is like she hangs out with Jane because she wants to feel better than her. Yeah. And when Jane stops hanging out with her, because like in the middle of the movie, they haven't hung out in a while. Yeah. So when they start hanging out, like she lays it on even thicker.
Oh yeah. But I mean, even at the beginning when she first.
The thing that I think is weird about this is that when she is finally confronted by the dad, that she is into it. That's the part that I think is weird. Not that she's like talking about it to like piss her friend off. Is that when the dad is like coming on to her, she doesn't like freak out and run away.
Well,
because that's the part of the movie that's the one part of this movie that I wish they had done differently, because he's like, he does finally make a move on her. And then when he finds out she's a virgin, then he stops. He's like, oh, well, I mean, it was okay to sleep with a teenager when I thought she was a slut. But yeah, because that's what he thought. Right?
Well, I think that's valid. Like, I think that is a lot. Like, I think there are plenty of people who would do that to a teenager. And if they found out, oh, like I'm a virgin, like this is my first time. Oh, wait, what? I think they would pull them back.
I think they would have been like, oh, even better.
Oh, maybe.
Because if you're gonna put the moves on someone, not only a teenager, but your daughter's teenage friend. Yeah. And then it's, oh, I've never been with a man before. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I've already come this far. That's the whole thing that bothers me about like that. Like almost everything about, there's some other issues I have with this movie, but that, like, I wish at the end he would have just like, it was just a fantasy. I'm not really gonna do this, right? Yeah. And maybe I fell in love with you. I was mixing these emotions because I missed my daughter who won't talk to me anymore or something like that. But the fact that he actually, yeah, she was like, had her shirt off on the couch and everything. Like he was fully going to do it. And he's supposed to end up being the most likable character in the film.
Oh, definitely not.
Well, yeah, but he's supposed to be. Yeah. At the end, when he's like happy that his daughter's in love and he's looking at the picture, you're supposed to be like, good for you, man. Yeah. You figured out what life is really about. And you're like, no, you just tried to fuck a teenager. Yeah. So maybe, things, I was alive at this time. People were not as upset as they are today about those inappropriate relationships. People get way more upset about that now, rightfully so. Yes. But that's why I think it's written this way, just because it's 25 years old now. But yeah.
But something I was going to say was like, I've had friends, or I know people that have had relationships with adults that were inappropriate. And when, like, as a high school student, I always thought that's so disgusting and so not okay. And so watching this film felt very icky, rightfully so, because it's done in a way that it doesn't, like you said, like he's supposed to be the most likable character, but
Or he's supposed to become the most likable character.
yeah, but even after all of that, maybe it's because it is years after. Maybe if I would have watched this as a teenager, I would have liked him more, maybe, but even as a high school student, I would have been like, he's disgusting. He's a predator immediately. I had a friend who at one point was talking to a teacher. And the whole time I was like, stop, delete his number, block him. It doesn't matter if he's nice to you. This is a bad relationship. Don't have a relationship with him. And they like still, kept going for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they very carefully choose who they prey on. You know, they're not going to come after somebody who's got a good head on their shoulders who has a good home life. They're going to go for the kid who needs attention. Which
the other thing about this, they don't really put out that he does this often. It seems like he does often because it starts off in the beginning of the movie with her talking about how he's fawning over her friend.
Right.
But the way she says it is, I can't bring a girlfriend over and have him like not be weird and a pervert.
Right.
Which we find out later, she's talking about Angela specifically, but the way it's put up is like that he does this consistently.
Right.
So as immediately out the gate, I was like, I hate him. I hate him. I get you, Jane.
I think
your dad's an asshole and disgusting.
I think that is also another misstep of the movie, is having that little piece at the beginning. My memory was that it starts off with Lester waking up in the VO about like, in less than a month, I'll be dead or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it starting. I didn't remember that little video piece at the beginning. And it completely throws off the tone of the film. It feels like a true crime thing at the beginning, and then it's not a true crime thing.
No, it's not. That's why I was saying like it feels like a who done it at the beginning, like start out right out the gate, because it's like, okay, is it her or is it her boyfriend? Who's going to kill him?
Yeah,
you know.
And then I don't. Is there anything else you want to say about the movie or predatory relationships before we start getting into it? Or
were you about to say something?
Yeah, well, I was just going to get into the first scene of the movie.
You can go ahead.
Okay. So then after that little videotape at the beginning, which is kind of a teaser because it's out of order, that same scene happens again later in the movie.
Yeah, later on. And you see it in full.
Yeah. And then it goes to a voiceover, which I hate this voiceover. It's like, my name is Lester and I'm 43 years old. And less than 3 months I'll be dead or whatever. It's like, what? Why are you telling us this?
Yeah.
We didn't need any of this information. All of it is on the screen on there for us to see. And he's like, look at me jerking off in the shower. It's like, okay, we can see you jerking off in the shower.
I get, the voiceover is not great. Or if they had voiceover,
it's terrible. It's awful.
Could have done a better job. Like, I mean, even just coming out the gate, like, I'm me and I'm going to be killed in 3 months. Or even just saying that line, like, what is that line that he says? Someone says,
your life flashes before
your life flashes before your eyes. Or like, this is the beginning of the rest of your life, but not on the day you die.
Right.
Even with that, just cut everything else out. Just have that one line. We would have been like, oh, is he going to fucking die? You know?
Yeah. Hey, that's actually a really good,
because it would have
punch up there.
And also, this movie is not short.
No, this movie is not short.
So like cutting some of that extra shit would have probably been better. It would have been better for it.
I don't know if it might have been a studio note that's like, oh, we need a little voiceover at the beginning. It's like, you did not need any of this shit. And he's in the beginning, he's presented as being the sympathetic character because he's like, look, my wife is like Miss Perfect and all this stuff, and my daughter won't speak to me and all this kind of shit. So, and then he's like hunched over, like I don't know.
It's at the dining table, right?
I don't remember.
'Cause she has to take him to work. His wife's going to take him to work, and
yeah, they all get in the car together. But I can't remember if they're eating breakfast or not.
Yeah, they do eat breakfast. But you can see that there's like, he's not happy. Because I immediately was like, this guy isn't happy in his marriage. Because she seems like they put up this like she's a nag kind of to him. Granted, I see where she's coming from. God,
like, what do you mean?
Well, like her husband he works in this building and he's just sitting on a phone all day. And when he comes home, he seems like he has this like animosity towards his wife, and she's fucking paying the fucking bills because, and she's
works.
trying her.
You just said he works.
I know, but she's
been working at the same.
She's trying her hardest to do all she's a real estate agent, and yeah, she puts on too much sometimes, but.
Well, they set up that she's obsessed with material.
Yeah.
So she's probably spending every dime that he makes in addition with his
I didn't think about that.
Right. So, I mean, they're both awful. They're both pretty fucking awful. But yeah, anyway, they don't need the VO. I've said that a million times already. Then we find out that Scott Bakula, Mr. Quantum Leap. You remember Quantum Leap?
No.
He is the next door neighbor, and he is one half of a gay couple that lives next door. And he comes over to ask Annette Benning, Carolyn, how she gets her roses to look so pretty.
Oh, yeah. She's out in the front yard, and she's like clipping roses.
And then they show the daughter, Jane, and she's upstairs looking up breast augmentations.
Oh, I didn't realize that she was looking that up.
Oh, you did?
I didn't see what she was looking at. I may have been writing a note.
Yeah, you were probably writing a note. But then in the VO, Lester Burnham is like, she doesn't like herself. I want to tell her that this is going to pass with time, but I don't want to lie to her. Yeah, like I don't want to lie to her. And then this is also other stuff that makes the mom is very passive aggressive.
Yeah,
she's not really so much a nag, I think, as she is passive aggressive. Like she tells the daughter, like, "Are you trying to look unattractive?"
Yeah, and her daughter says, "Yeah," and she's like, "Well, you're succeeding immensely." Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, and then he drops his suitcase and he says, like, "Yeah, they think I'm a loser."
I mean, he kind of is.
Yeah, he is. He totally is a loser. But also at the same time, like, pretty normal middle-aged guy.
Yeah.
I'm not too different from him. I go to a job I hate.
Yeah, but you don't hate me, right?
No, I don't hate you.
Okay, good.
Of course not. Of course I don't hate you.
Joy! But so we kind of see like what their lives are like in the very beginning, which we could have just started with that too. Just them getting up in the morning. We see that animosity towards each other. How like he like looks out the window at her and she's clipping the flowers and talking to her neighbor and like everything's perfect. But it's not perfect. Like that could have been a silent scene because we see exactly what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, it's totally conveyed through their acting. We didn't need the voiceover. All right, I'm not gonna talk about voiceover.
Okay.
And then there's a really cool little shot when they show him in his office. They show his face reflection in the computer.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and the computer looks like a frame. So it's kind of like, look, this guy is in a box that he can't break out of.
Huh.
It's kind of cool.
That's
huh?
cool.
Yeah. Or at least I think that's what they were trying to convey. Who knows? It's open to interpretation. But then, like, he's on the phone. I guess he's trying to get an interview because he writes for a magazine. So he's trying to track somebody down. And then somebody comes up to him and is like, "Hey,
we need to talk to you." Yeah.
Yeah. And so they bring him in his office, and he's like, "Look, they're going to bring in an efficiency expert, kind of like if you have ever seen Office Space."
Yeah.
But they're like, "Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna need you to write everything you do so that we can see if you're efficient."
Yeah, it's Lumberg, and he came in
Yeah.
with his cup of coffee. And that's when we find out that some CEO for the company took company money and got a hooker.
Yeah, and so now they have to kind of come around and try to lessen costs. So laying someone off or firing someone is going to be the easiest way to do that.
Yeah, and they're going to do it from the bottom up, instead of the top down, right? And then I really like Spacey's performance here because, like, he's very upset, but he just comes off as like a whiny bitch.
Yeah.
And he's like shaking and stuff. So he won't stand up for himself. He's just a crybaby at this point.
Yeah. So he has to write this thing about like what he all does, all of what he does. And then is that when we cut to see what the wife is doing at work? She's like trying to sell a house.
No. Next is he's coming home, and him and his wife are fighting in the car on the way home, and they see the new neighbors moving in.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Because she says about the house, she was like, "If I would have sold it, that house wouldn't have been on the market for so long."
Yeah. We find out that there is a real estate mogul in the neighborhood, or I guess their town,
called the King.
Yeah, he's Buddy the King. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he sells a lot of houses, and she's envious of it.
Yeah. I don't really remember what happens right after that.
Yeah, then it goes into the...
Oh, they leave because she's like, "Oh, we have to go see Janie's thing."
Well, no, that's not quite yet.
Oh.
They're at dinner, right? And the dining room is very dark, and the way they're sitting and the way it's shot, it feels very tense. And gray, and then the daughter's like, "What? Do we have to listen to this elevator music?" And the mom's like, "Well, we can listen to something different when you cook a nutritious dinner. Then we can listen to whatever you want."
Yeah. I mean, most of this stuff is just kind of like showing their hatred towards all of you. Like, everyone hates each other.
Yeah, this is just typical.
There's no love in the house.
Yeah, this is just typical first act stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we see the kid filming them next door.
Yeah, I was about to say this is the moment where I feel like is important. We see Ricky filming. Well, we see them through the camera. We don't see Ricky filming them specifically. We just see through his camera the home footage kind of film look on Jane and her father, because they're talking in the kitchen. I don't remember about what.
Oh yeah, she storms off, and he goes in there to be like, "Hey, we used to be."
Oh yeah, we
used to be friends, and you don't always have to wait for me to come to you. But a typical teenager is just like whatever, and storms out.
But we see that this kid is filming them, and I was like, "Oh, her boyfriend is filming them."
You knew that was the boyfriend already?
Immediately. Because he had filmed her earlier in that little snippet.
The same grainy
like if that grainy film wasn't there, I'm like, who the fuck is filming them?
Do you think that
I think that would have been way better.
Yeah, I don't think that the video clip at the beginning makes this movie better at all.
I don't think it does either at all. But I was like, oh my gosh, he's filming her. Why is he filming her? It's not until later that you see, that first film happens in the middle of the film. So it was weird. Because I was like, why is he filming her? And she like kind of looks out the window, because as if she sees him, but she doesn't. And then her dad kind of looks out the window, and he's kind of like trying to find something in the trees, but he's like, okay, whatever, I don't see anything.
Right. Yeah, and then that's when it goes to the open house. And she's like, today I'm going to sell this house, and she's cleaning it. You see her like scrubbing the windows and the floor.
Oh, yeah, she's
and all
like,
this
I'm
stuff.
going to sell this house.
Yeah.
And she keeps saying that over and over again. And the house is very dingy and not kept well. So even when she's cleaning it, it's like, that's not going to do shit.
Yeah, it's just it's a house that hasn't been updated in like 20 plus years or something like that. And she shows multiple people the house. It's kind of like a montage thing. And that's when we get early John Cho appearance, because he is not a star yet. He's just some guy looking at a house. And then a couple of women come to look at it, and they're like, "You said this was a Laguna pool. This doesn't look like, there's no plants around here." And she's like, "What about these? Don't these look like plants?"
Yeah, and she's like, but whenever I think lagoon, I think waterfall. Yeah, that's what they said. Waterfalls and
then she's
lush
like,
plants, tropical.
She goes, "I've got some tiki torches in the garage."
Yeah. And then she goes into the house by herself, and she like starts crying and slapping herself because she's very frustrated that she can't sell this house.
Yeah. Yeah. I also want to say, like, this movie is really funny.
It is funny.
For something that's kind of a dark drama, it has some really, really funny moments.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And that was one of them. The Tiki Torch Laguna thing. Yeah.
That comic relief is very prevalent in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which it definitely needed, especially with this such a tough topic. It needs that comedic relief.
Yes.
Often.
Yeah. It makes it a much more dynamic film.
And more watchable.
Yeah. And when she's like in there, like screaming at herself and slapping herself, I was like, oh, that's what I used to feel like when I was a freelance videographer.
Oh.
Because it was so hard to, like when the money was rolling in, you're great. But like,
yeah, when it's not.
Yeah. And then the fact that we were just trying to survive off of my income alone.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I had some very, very bad days.
So then we go home, or they're at home or something, and she's telling him like, we have to go watch Janie's thing she's been practicing for. She doesn't want us to know that she's excited about it, but she's been working really hard. She's been practicing her steps.
Yeah.
And Jane does not seem like a cheerleading type.
No.
And immediately from the beginning of the movie, when she's in that film with her boyfriend, when she's in the very beginning, whenever she's having that scene with her parents downstairs for that breakfast, like the whole time, there's nothing is set up that she is like cheerleading type.
No,
it's interesting for her to be a cheerleader.
You kind of get the feeling that when you see her for the first time with Mina Solvari in the cheerleading squad, and you kind of get the feeling like, oh, she pressured her into doing this. Like
she doesn't actually want to be there.
Yeah, she's like, oh, come try out for the cheerleading team with me. I want like there was a joke that we passed up, like they're driving to that thing, and he says like, well, this better be good because I'm missing a James Bond marathon on TNT or something like that. I like that he name drops the channel TNT for some reason. I like that. But anyway, so they go to see it, and
this is where he sees Angela, and he kind of goes into this trance of like, oh, she's dancing for me. And this just kind of starts all of the fantasy kind of things that go on in his head.
Yeah, this is when we first see rose petals and stuff like that.
She like opens up her shirt and rose petals pop out. Which I'm wondering what the symbol of the rose petals are. Is it to say like, oh, like these remind him of his wife when she was fun? Or like what?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Because the rose petals have to mean something.
Yeah, because she also grows roses. In the thing.
That's why I was thinking, like, is it something to do with? It has to do something with his wife,
right?
Because there's a couple points where he's like, we used to be fun and used to. Where's the girl that like flashed the helicopters as they drove by?
Yeah, flashed the traffic helicopter.
Yeah,
yeah. I wish they would have leaned. If that was something, maybe they cut it out. It didn't make the final cut, but maybe that did have something to do with it. I think that would have been a cool angle instead of being like, oh, hey, I want to statutory rape this girl.
exactly.
Yeah.
If it was like, oh, she reminds me, or even like having her dancing, but then we see his wife, a younger version of her dancing.
Or if like later he goes and he's at home and he looks at a picture on the wall of his wife in a high school cheerleading outfit or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, because I want this to be like, you know, he's like fantasizing about this girl, but at the end of the movie, he says like, look, it was just a fantasy. I can't actually do this.
Yeah.
You know, but I think they should have gone that direction with it. I think because then it would have given you that like fear that, oh, he is actually trying to hit on this girl and he does want to hook up with her, but then you feel, oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I think it would have made him more likable because we would have been like, oh, he misses the old life he had.
Yeah,
he's going through a midlife crisis.
Yeah, because that's like he's trying to recapture his youth in this. That's why he starts working at a yeah. So if maybe that I think that would have been a much better way to go than just have like almost statutory rape.
Yeah.
Also in this part, I really like the routine because Thora Birch is not doing good.
Yeah, she's like frowning the whole time.
Yeah, it's very much in line with her character, and I liked it a lot.
A lot of them weren't smiling, and I was like, what are you doing? You're cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Fucking smile.
But her moves were off.
Oh.
Like she
I
was
didn't
always
notice
like
that.
a step behind everybody.
Oh.
And then at one point, everybody steps left and she steps right.
Did they?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, she's really bad at it. Yeah. And then they meet their parents out back, and her mom goes, well, you didn't screw up once.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, that's not a very nice thing to say.
Yeah, her mom is very passive aggressive. When you said passive aggressive, I was like, that's it. That's what she is.
Yeah.
Because even whenever her dad like quits or gets fired or whatever, and he like got that severance pay, like she's like yelling at him like, look what your dad did.
Yeah.
And like and she's like happy. She's acting happy. She's being very sarcastic. So whenever he comes out and her mom is talking to Angela about like, oh Janie, you did so good, but her dad is stuck on Angela and he can't stop staring at her.
Yeah, he's like, and he wants to talk to her. He's like, do you need a ride? I have a car and all this stuff. Like he is kind of
very creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy, but also he's been acting like this middle-aged like unhappy guy this whole time, and then all of a sudden now he's acting like a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I can give you a ride. Right?
Yeah.
I got a car. Like that was funny to me that he's like, that's something a teenager would say. He's like, I got a car.
Yeah.
I'll totally give you a ride home. Cool, I got a car. You know?
And then this is when we after all of this, Angela goes, or Janie goes with Angela because Angela's like, I have a car too. She's gonna ride with me. And they go home, and this is where the neighbors finally meet each other. I think at this point.
Well, they're talking in the car, and like Angela is like doing all her thing about like lying about, you know, how cool she is, and how guys fawn over her and drool over her. And,
well, because Jane is like, don't you hate when people do that? And she's like, no, I like it.
Yeah.
Of course I like it. It makes me feel special, and which immediately you're like, oh, 'cause she's insecure.
Yes. Yeah. I think Mina Salvari sells it really well. that she's saying this to try to be cool, but it's really because she's insecure.
Yeah. And so she's telling her all of these gross things. This is a moment I was like, a man wrote these fucking lines because
Oh yeah, he
a
definitely
girl would not say these things. And even if they were saying these things, they wouldn't say it in that way.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like,
on
it's
that.
so vulgar. Like, girls don't generally talk like that. And if they do, most girls don't want to hang out with them. Because I can think of someone that kind of talked like that, but I never wanted to be around them. They had no friends because they talked so gross about that kind of thing. So I hated how she spoke, but she does a good job. And like, her acting is done she did a really great job with what she got.
Yeah. You can tell this was written by a man, but you can also, like you said, you made you think of somebody you went to high school with.
Yeah.
This made me think of somebody
like on an extreme level though.
Yeah. On extreme level. But like you also with audiences, you have to make sure the dumbest person on the audience knows what you're trying to convey. So yeah, they went a little over the top with it, but you can think of the person that the screenwriter is trying to write about, right? They just have to they have to be a little ham-fisted about it. Also,
the film kind of seems not what is that? There's like a term for it when things are kind of exaggerated.
Hyperbole?
No. I mean, the film, a lot of things are exaggerated a little bit. So like whenever he's upset, he's like slumping over, like in the beginning of the film before he meets Angela, his posture is very reminiscent of like not only was someone going to be looking down, but they are like, he's hunched over.
Right.
And it's like, he looks uncomfortable. So, I mean, maybe it's just kind of that exaggerated overall in the whole film.
Yeah, and I think there is like a pretty fair amount of shitty dialogue in this movie.
Oh yeah.
This is not the only bit of it, but some really on the nose stuff. But anyway, they finish talking and she sees the neighbor filming her and she calls him an asshole.
Yeah. And so that now I was like, oh, they're not dating? This is why I think that first sequence sucked so bad.
Well, they had just moved in.
Yeah, well,
How could they already be dating?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That first bit doesn't make sense because like we don't see that they've just moved in when he's filming them through the window. Like if we would have seen the guy filming her through the window and then we would have seen like, oh, he's filming her. Also, like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? You know, instead of being like, oh, that's her boyfriend. Because that's when it popped in my head. Oh, they're not dating. He just moved in and he's filming her, which is creepy as fuck.
Yeah, we're supposed to think he's a creepy dude at first. Like that's
I mean,
on
he
purpose.
is a creepy dude. He's fucking creepy. The whole film.
But she also like she goes inside and she starts to smile a little bit, kind of like she likes that guy likes the attention.
Which is kind of reminiscent of Angela too, because when they go upstairs to their room, because Angela goes up too, doesn't she?
No, she leaves.
Well, later on it happens where she's like, "Oh, he's filming us," and
yeah.
That's when she smiles when she finds out he's filming her through her bedroom window.
Right.
Anyways,
but then the next day, Jane is taking a shower and Lester sneaks into her room and looks up her friend's number.
Yeah, and he calls her.
And it's like he hangs up. It's like, what were you gonna do?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
This is gross.
Yeah, it was weird. But then she gets out of the shower and she sees the notebook open there with her number on it. So she figures it out. But then they flash to the neighbor's house before they can really talk about it.
Yeah. Also, after she's gone to inside the house, this is when the night scene happens where he envisions Angela on the ceiling with the rose petals.
Right.
So that rose petal theme kind of keeps coming back.
Yes. Yeah. He fantasizes a few times about her. Was that the one in the bathtub?
No, that's the ceiling one.
Oh, okay.
Where he's laying in bed and the petals are falling on him.
Right. Okay. So then we're at the neighbor's house and the dad's outside and then they're like eating breakfast.
Yeah.
And then the gay neighbors come over.
When that doorbell rings, they're like, who the fuck is that? And it's like, why are you so worried about someone ringing your doorbell?
Well, it's because they want to be like, oh, their dad is just a psycho. Mm-hmm. So they're just in this house where they're just constantly on eggshells. Mm-hmm. So then they go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why they do it. But immediately, whenever I saw that, I was like, why are they so worried?
Yeah, it's like that now, though, because with cell phones now, it's like,
yes, who's ringing my doorbell?
Don't you come to my house ever.
Earlier today, because we didn't have school today, but Joliet was in the backyard playing, and I was over here at the computer working on something, and I hear the doorbell ring, and I was like, what the? Oh, that's Joliet. I was like, who the fuck is ringing my doorbell?
She come around to the
She
front?
went around the front. And I told her, don't go to the front of the yard. Also.
Why not?
Because I couldn't keep an eye on her.
Oh.
I just
tell her not to go in the street.
I feel like it's safer for her to be in the backyard. Anyways, but she ran around to the front and she tried to sell me her solar glasses. And I was like, the eclipse is gone and there's probably not going to be one for a while. And then she threw them. She was like, what? She said, I don't remember what she said, but she yelled and like threw them on the ground. She said, you're going to buy them anyways. She's cute. Anywho.
Yeah. So it's the gay neighbors are there and they have like a gift basket for them. And he's like, all right, let's cut to the chase. What are you guys trying to sell? And they're like, no, we're just trying to be good neighbors.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you said you're partners.
What's your business?
Yeah. What's your business? And they look at each other.
Well, he's
a tax attorney and the other guy was a doctor or something.
Yeah, I think
like
so.
That. That's so funny to me. It's like, they're gay, man.
Yeah. And then we get a scene of his Ricky and his dad in the car. And Ricky's dad was trying to get him to say like, oh, that's so disgusting that those guys were there and they're gay.
Well, he says it weird. It's like he's like rubbing it in our faces and flaunting it. He doesn't say like it's gross that they're gay. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's when there's I don't remember what Ricky says, but he says something to his dad that's kind of like, oh, it's whatever. And his dad's like, what? And then he's like, oh, that makes me sick. And he's like, yeah, I was going to say that too, but.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like you didn't know he was gay yet, right?
No.
But I've seen this movie several times, so I was paying attention to it. And he doesn't say like it's bad to be gay. Mm-hmm. He really says like, look at them flaunting it.
Yeah.
Where everyone can see it. And it's just like he's mad that he can't be out of the closet.
Yeah.
It's not really that he hates gay people. And then his son says that, and then you see this look on his face. It's kind of like,
you think it is gross, yeah.
Yeah, like he wants to say like,
I did peg him for gay before he kissed him.
Yeah, you can like it's they pretty much convey.
Well, I mean, as soon as he was like yelling at him in the car about it all, I was like, oh, he's closeted for sure.
So then it cuts to school, and Angela's telling the story about the film shoot, which is obviously a lie.
Yeah.
But then the girls are like, "You were only in 17 magazine once, and you're gonna just end up like everybody else."
Yeah. She's like, you're not even that cute. You're not even that pretty.
And then that's when the next door.
Oh, and she said, you were only in 17 once and you looked fat.
Oh, that's what it was. But then that's when the weird neighbor shows up, and she's like, well, I saw you filming me last night. And he's like, oh, I just find you interesting or whatever. And he goes away, and then she's like, oh my God, you have a crush on that weird dude. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I remember this, but she says, you want to have like 10,000 of his babies.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
That's something that girls would say.
Yeah. And then she says like, oh, he was in a mental hospital.
It sounded like she said that he, because she was like, we had lunch duty together, and he was there, and he would say weird things, and then the next day he was gone. It didn't seem like she knew where he went, but then I think we find out later that he went to, or maybe she does hint that it was a mental hospital, but we just don't know why. Because she says he probably killed someone or something.
Yeah. But you don't really know if she's just saying shit to say it or not.
Yeah, because you can tell she's a liar.
Uh-huh. And then they show the kid at home with his mom, who seems to be out of it.
Mm-hmm. She seems almost not catatonic. What is it?
Yeah, kind of catatonic.
Catatonic.
Yeah, I mean, you can still, like certain types of being catatonic, I think you can still speak.
Oh, she does still speak.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, catatonic, yeah, I think you could use that word there.
Mm-hmm.
So then it goes to that like real estate. I don't know what it is, a seminar.
Yeah, they go to this like kind of like
maybe it's a networking thing.
Like a realtor meetup or something, and you can see that his wife. She tells him like, please be good today. Like, don't act like an asshole, and make me look good.
Yeah, which is kind of fucked up because we've never, like, we know he's a loser, but we've never gotten the thing that like, oh, he tries to fuck over her business or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like her being passive aggressive and being like, don't fuck this up for me. It's like, well, why the fuck would I? Mm-hmm. And then she's talking to Buddy, who she wants to impress, and then Lester's like, oh, we're so in love, and he gives her like this big deep kiss, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I need a drink. Yeah. So
he's not putting anything on either. Like he's faking it so hard that it looks bad.
Yeah, he went way over the top with it. And then while he's at the bar, the neighbor kid walks up and is like, hey, do you party? And he's like, what? And he's like, do you get high? So they go out and they smoke weed. And then the catering boss comes in.
And he goes, what are you doing out here?
And he's like, I don't pay you to
stand around.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, well, you don't have to pay me then.
Yeah. So he quits his job immediately there. And Lester's in awe of that because he's like, I wish I could quit my job. And he's like, oh, this is just a side thing to make my dad think that I make money somehow.
Right.
I'm actually making money through selling drugs.
Right. But they set up that he only really sells weed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and this was the other early appearance by somebody. That the boss was one of the people from Modern Family.
Oh, okay.
Like the chubbier gay guy. You never watched Modern Family?
I didn't watch Modern Family.
I didn't either. I just know the guy. But then his wife comes out there and finds him smoking. And it's really funny.
Like, what are you doing? Let's go.
Because he's just laughing at her. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'll meet you out front. And then he's like, oh, yeah, let me know if you need some more weed.
Yeah. So he's... they kind of... I think he tells him that like, oh, like this is just so that I cover up for my dad. So whenever later on he does go ask him for weed again, but he has to figure out a way to get around asking in front of his dad. Right.
But right now what happens is they get home and he goes directly to the fridge because he's got the munchies. Mm-hmm. And Angela's there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to go flirt with your dad." And she puts her hand on his shoulder, and then that's when he has another fantasy, right?
Yeah, where she kisses him. But I was like, "Ew, gross! She kissed him. That's disgusting." But then I was like, "Oh wait, it didn't actually happen."
Yeah.
It was another fantasy of his, and she like the snap out of it, like. Because she asks for a root beer, and she's got a root beer, and she's on the other side of the room. I thought that was a smart way to like let us see, like, oh, like that was all a fantasy. Because I feel like if she was close, you'd be like, did she just fucking kiss him for real? You know?
Right. And then she said, like, Jane says, oh, she's going to spend the night, and he like chokes on his root beer.
And then he goes upstairs and is listening into their conversation.
Yeah.
Where Angela's kind of talking about how, your dad could be cute if he like worked out a little bit and had muscles on his arms.
Yeah. And then he gets the idea in his head, like, oh, I should start lifting weights and
like working out.
Yeah. I want to, like he basically says later, like he wants to look good naked.
And so he goes downstairs and I think to the garage, and he's like looking for weights. And then he takes all of his clothes off, not just like his shirt, all of his clothes off, and starts working out in front of the window.
You don't work out naked?
No.
Oh.
I don't work out. I don't work out, period.
No, neither do I. I don't work out naked or anything.
Huh?
When you're not home.
What?
Even
when you're home in the garage.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing in the garage?
No, I'm working on my car. I promise.
I don't know if that's better. Are you naked doing it?
But anyway, the neighbor boy is shooting him lifting weights.
Films his dad lifting weights naked.
Yeah, but this will be important for later on in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the Marine dad comes in. No, wait, this isn't quite it. Then that's what they're upstairs. The girls are upstairs.
Yes.
And they see him shooting them through the mirror. Through the window. And Mina Silvara is like, ooh, let's like do things in front of the window. And
he's filming me? And
Yeah.
so she goes over there and she's like dancing.
Yeah,
And she's
and
in her
voguing
underwear
and shit.
she's in her underwear and like a small tank top. So she has barely any clothes on, but he zooms in to Jane in the mirror.
Yeah, there's like a little makeup mirror and he can see her face in it. And it's kind of sweet.
a cool shot.
Yeah, it's kind of sweet that he's like, I'm going to ignore the stupid hot girl or whatever. Because she is very hateable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then that's when... Hold on.
That's also when she starts saying like, oh, I want to suck his dick. And I'm like, ooh. Disgusting.
Yeah. But she's obviously just trying to fuck with Jane.
Yeah.
Which I think someone
Terrible
would do.
friend.
Yeah, bad friend. But then the Marine dad comes in or he knocks on the door, but the door's locked. And he's like, I don't like locked doors in my house, boy. And he's like, here, take this drug test.
And he gives him like a pee cup to pee in.
Yeah. And he makes up an excuse. He says like, I don't have to pee right now.
I just peed. So
yeah.
I'll give it to you in the morning.
Yeah. And then he takes fresh piss out of a little mini refrigerator.
Which I was like, why does he store piss in a fucking fridge upstairs? First of all, why does he have a refrigerator in his room? As a parent, I would have been like, what the fuck do you need a refrigerator for? Especially if you know he has drug issues. You just going to let him have sodas up in his room or something? Like, I don't know. What? Upstairs? It doesn't make sense.
He bought that fridge with his catering money.
I guess.
All right. And then this is a scene that made an impression on you. Well, first, Lester has the dream about the bathtub and the rose petals and all that. And then it flashes back and he's jerking off in bed. And you told me how much you like this scene, right?
I hate this scene. It's gross. So he's jerking off in bed and his wife wakes up and she's like, what the fuck?
Wait, do you want to do it?
Oh, the lines?
Yeah. Ready? Right here.
Hold on.
Here. So we're going to do a little scene from this movie.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
You are masturbating.
No, I was not.
Yes, you were.
Oh, all right. So shoot me. I was whacking off. That's right. I was choking the bishop, chafing the carrot.
Gross.
You know, saying hi to my monster.
What? I
It's
thought,
bad.
why? Those, okay, first of all, those are the worst euphemisms for jacking off.
All right. Well, what's your favorite? What's a good one? If you were going to make one
Choking
for
the
this.
snake.
Choking the snake? I thought you said milking the snake.
Milking the snake. Gross. I think they're all disgusting.
I like
Choking the bishop, like, I guess, because the hat.
Oh, that makes sense.
But what the fuck? Chafing the carrot?
Yeah. I like punching the clown.
Okay, you told me this earlier, but I still don't get how you can punch the clown to be your dick.
Well, no, it just like it'll come back up.
Does your dick flop? Do you wag your penis when you jerk off?
No. I mean, I could. I just like to say, like, it sounds fun. It's fun to say punching the clown.
It seems more like
And it, does,
like
it
you
doesn't
would be
sound
masturbating for a girl. We punch that clown.
flicking the bean,
Yeah, I hate all of
playing
them.
the vagina DJ.
Ew. DJ
But
Chris.
I do like punching the clown. I think that's the best one.
Yeah, but he doesn't say that. Saying hi to my monster?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Okay.
bad.
They're not good.
Oh, and the one I told you I made up earlier was driving stick shift.
That one's good.
Okay. Where the hell were we? Okay, so he's jerking off in bed, and then they have a fight about.
And she tells him, "You think you're the only one who's sexually frustrated?" And it's like, yeah, you're right, because he could be like feeling you up,
Yeah, he could be trying to put the moves on her.
but no, he's
then
instead jerking it off.
Yeah, but also he says like, like you're just so cold now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would never respond to it. And then she's like, she threatens divorce. And he's like, look, if we get divorced, like I supported you all this time. Like some people would think that would obligate me to like half your stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
So she's like, oh no, like
what?
you're going to take my material away.
yeah.
So he kind of got her, and like he rolls over and goes back to sleep, and like the camera pans to his face, and he's like smiling, like I got her.
Yeah, which, ugh.
Yeah, it's all you're still supposed to hate him at this point.
So
then the next day, it shows the gay neighbors, and they are running down the street, and Lester runs up behind them and is like, hey, you mind if I run with you guys?
oh yeah, so this is when he's like really trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
And he's running with the gay guys, and his neighbor.
This is the beginning. What I would consider to be the beginning of the second act. Like we've set up everything that needs to be set up.
Yeah.
And we're like, boom! Now people are just going to start playing their character game. He's going to start getting into exercising and all that stuff.
Yeah. His objective is to look good for Angela.
Yeah.
But he starts running with them, and this is when the colonel sees him running with them, and he's like, is he also gay? Like privately or something?
Yeah.
Because you see him look at him like, what the fuck is he doing with them?
Right.
Like, why is he running with them? Is he also gay? Because he also kind of says some things that are not gay, but like hearing that, especially if you think someone's gay and they say something like that, you might be like, is that person gay?
Yeah.
I think that was the point of that. But then he like stops at his house and he's like, "Oh, I can't keep up with these guys. They're too
Yeah, he's
good."
like, I've already seen my life flash before my eyes, and these guys haven't even broken a sweat. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to Ricky and he's like, "Hey, remember that movie we were talking about?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, Reanimator?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I got it up in my room."
So he's going upstairs to go get drugs. So the little movie thing that they were talking about earlier, outside the,
Which we've got to watch for the podcast because I love Reanimator.
Okay. That was his kind of like way to get around saying, "Oh, I need drugs," in front of his dad.
Right. Yeah. And so they get up there and he sees that he's got a CD, a Pink Floyd CD. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, you like Pink Floyd?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I used to flip burgers all summer long just to be able to get an album." Mm-hmm. And he's like,
so it's he kind of reminisces on when he was younger.
Yeah. And he specifically, the kid was like, "Yeah, that sucks." And he goes, "Actually, it was really great."
All I did was,
he's like, "I didn't have a care in the world."
And get laid.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so he buys some weed from him, like really good weed. And then he's working out in the garage and his wife comes home and finds him in the garage and gets pissed off at him.
Yeah. She's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm working out." What's it to you, bitch? That's not what he says, but to that effect.
Right.
He's trying to he's pushing her away more. Which I mean, like, it's kind of like a telltale sign that someone is seeking validation from someone else.
Uh-huh.
And so after this, because also at the little real estate meeting, his wife was talking to the king, and she's like, she was drunk, but she was like, "I would love to have a lunch with you sometime so we can talk about because I'm in awe of you and everything." So at this moment, it goes to lunch. That she goes to lunch with him, I think, in the next scene.
No, it's not quite the next scene.
Oh.
Let me look.
But you can tell that he's seeking validation for Angela. So it doesn't matter what his wife actually feels or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, he hates his wife. He's full on like, she doesn't care about me. She only cares about like selling houses and getting all the shit she wants. Mm-hmm. This is the part where he goes in for his efficiency interview, and he's reading the little paper that he wrote about himself, and it's all like a big joke.
Yeah.
And then he says management wants you gone by the end of the day, and then Lester's like, he wants a severance package, and he says, "Well, just what sort of severance package is management prepared to offer me, considering the information I have about our editorial director buying pussy with company money, which I think would be interest to the IRS since it technically constitutes fraud, and I'm sure that some of our advertisers and rival publications might like to know about it as well, not to mention Craig's wife." And he says, "What do you want? 1 year salary with benefits. That's not going to happen. Well, what do you say I throw in a little sexual harassment charge to boot? Against who? Against you. Can you prove that you didn't offer to save my job if I let you blow me? Man, you are one twisted fuck. Nope. I'm just an ordinary guy with nothing to lose."
Yeah. So he's kind of getting inspiration from Ricky when he quits. And Ricky is just like, whatever, because he already has a side business, but Lester's getting some big balls on him, which it's because he's getting inspiration from teenagers who don't give a fuck.
But also Ricky was like, "Look, he said, you don't have to pay me."
Yeah.
So it was different. Whereas like this guy, and also you might be like, "Oh, this guy is a piece of shit," but he's blackmailing a corporation, so you kind of don't care. You're kind of just like, "Yeah, good for you."
Yeah.
To be honest. And then this is where she meets Buddy for lunch.
Yeah. So she meets Buddy for lunch, and they hit it off really well.
Yeah.
And she finds out that him and his wife are going to get divorced. And so the next scene we jump to is them having sex in a hotel room. So
Was that it?
I think so.
No, real quick, they jump to the kids, and he's filming like a dead bird or something.
Oh, and they come up and like, what the fuck are you doing? That's gross.
Yeah, and she goes, hey, look, I want you to stop filming me. And he's like, okay. And he just immediately shuts his camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's something about needing a ride, but they ended up walking together.
Yeah.
And that's when they see a funeral procession or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then it cuts back. Yeah, it cuts back to them fucking in the hotel, and it's funny. Yeah, it is really funny that her legs are over her head, and she keeps calling him Your Majesty. Yeah, and he says like, "Who's the king?" And she's like, "You are. You're the king." My Majesty. Yeah. Something like that. It was a pretty funny scene. Yeah. But also, like, I was like, okay, your husband's being a dick to you because he's obsessed with this teenager. Good for you getting your rocks off. Because he's not going to do it for sure. No. I mean, and like, she doesn't like him. Yeah. So, yeah, just, it's just like, get divorced already. Yeah, get divorced. And you are like, this is like, she is a bitch. But you are happy for her that like she got fucked by this dude and liked it. Yeah. Because like you can tell that her husband doesn't like, her husband supported her getting her real estate license, but like, has he really supported her in any other ways? Probably not. No, probably not. But they're both terrible people. Yeah. Well, you get the idea that they used to be better for each other, but it happened. Like married couples grow apart sometimes. Yeah. And only keeping the marriage together only makes it worse. Mm-hmm. Well, I've seen so many things on the internet, people saying like, I don't want to divorce my wife or my husband because I want to be with my kids. And it's like, well, don't your kids also want the best version of you? Yeah. Even if they have to see you every other week? Yeah. But anyway, glad that's not us. For real. Well, at least for not a few more years. Hey, stop it. So his wife started sleeping with the king, and Janie gets back. They go back to they're in their neighborhood now, and she goes into Ricky's house, and where she meets his You're skipping mom. Over some stuff. Oh. Remember, I drive the podcast here. Okay, I'm sorry. I write down everything like scene by scene. Yeah, I know. You tell me every day. Yeah. Sometimes my notes are bad and I skip some stuff, but anyway, so Lester's happy that he blackmailed his company, and he's driving home smoking weed in his car. Oh. And he goes through the drive-through at Mr. Smiley's or whatever. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And this is when he asks for the application so he can work there because he misses flipping burgers. Yeah, and he is in a great mood, right? And then he is immediately in an interview with a teenager, and he's like, "You worked in the industry a long time ago. I mean, you probably don't remember." He's like, "Well, I mean, I'm sure the technology in fast food has made a lot of advancements. That doesn't say I can't learn it, though, right?" Yeah. And then I think then it goes back to them in the hotel, and she's like, I guess that's the royal treatment. Yeah. Right. Cause this is them finished having sex, and I think they're smoking. Are they smoking? I don't remember. Anyway. And she's like, that's just what I needed. Like, I'm under so much stress all the time. And he's like, you know what I do when I'm under stress? I go shoot a gun. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And then this is the part finally where they go home and they meet his mom. And he also shows her dad's Nazi plate. Yeah. So like he has like this memorabilia, but he only has one piece. I guess to make his dad not look so terrible. Well, the thing is, like, all that stuff got destroyed after the war. Mm-hmm. Because like after the fall of the Nazi regime, and they found out, the world found out about the Holocaust, it's like, we got to get rid of all the Nazi shit. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really, really hard to find actual Nazi stuff from that time period. My grandfather had some. Yeah. But he wasn't a collector or anything. He was in World War II. Mm-hmm. And he stole some stuff off of a German officer and smuggled it back home.
Oh.
And kept it. So he had it just locked away. It wasn't like on display. He wasn't a neo-Nazi or anything like that. It was literally war trophies. So I've seen some Nazi stuff before, and I held it, and it was weird.
Ugh.
I don't know what happened to it.
Bad vibes.
Yeah, it has a very weird creepiness to it. And it was like one piece I do remember was like a show knife. So it was like this very ornate knife with the Nazi symbol on it. It's very creepy.
The swastika?
The swastika Nazi symbol. But it's very creepy to hold that and like think about what that whole regime of people was all about and stuff. I don't know what happened to it. After he died, I don't know what happened to it. I definitely don't have it, so don't come after me.
Yeah, we don't. It's nowhere here. That's not sarcastic either. So he shows her this, and then he brings her upstairs where
the famous bag video.
He shows her this bag video, and he talks about how beautiful it is. Honestly, that whole monologue, I blanked out.
It's monologues in movies are not good. I didn't care for it. He could have just been one or two lines, about how much he loves beauty in the world and he sees the beauty in everything. It didn't need to be a whole thing about like that bag dance for 15 minutes. Didn't need it. We saw the bag dancing.
Yeah.
We already saw it. And then it cuts to them having dinner with the parents. And this is another part. We should read this together too. If I can find it. Okay, right here. It's the second one.
Okay. Your father and I were just discussing his day at work. Why don't you tell your daughter about it, honey?
Janie, today I quit my job and then I told my boss to go fuck himself and then I blackmailed him for almost $60,000. Pass the asparagus.
Your father seems to think that this kind of behavior is something to be proud of.
And your mother seems to prefer that I go through life like a fucking prisoner while she keeps my dick in a mason jar under the sink.
How dare you speak to me that way in front of her? And I marvel that you can be so contemptuous of me. And on the same day, you lose your job.
Lose it? I didn't lose it. It's not like, whoops, where'd my job go? I quit. Someone pass the asparagus, please.
Yeah. So there's this like very passive aggressive scene, which shows her passive aggressiveness towards her husband.
This is a little bit more than passive aggression.
Yeah, it's definitely. But the way they talk about it is like, oh, this is what your father did. It is full on aggressive, but in a passive word.
Yeah. Did you ever see that Will Ferrell sketch on SNL where it was like that family, that dysfunctional family, and they're sitting down to dinner and they start yelling at each other?
No, I don't remember.
And there'll be a break in the silence and they'll start fighting. And then Will Ferrell will be like, I could do 100 push-ups in 20 minutes or something.
No.
It's just, okay. Well, I think when I was watching that, I was like, is that where they got the idea for that sketch from?
Oh, maybe.
Anyway. And then he's like, oh, from now on, we're going to alternate who gets to pick the dinner music.
Oh, yeah. Because everyone's tired of this shit.
Yeah.
And he also gets up and like grabs the asparagus. And then he chunks the plate of asparagus after he grabs some off of it onto the wall. And earlier, after he was jerking it off in bed, his wife tells he tells his wife that like, I've never been abusive to you or anything like that. And I was like, that's motherfucking abusive. You threw a plate at the wall.
Yeah.
You don't think that's abusive? Well, even if it wasn't directed at her, it is still abuse. Yeah. Breaking things in the house when you're angry is definitely abuse. But that is presented at the first time he's ever done anything like that because of the way they react to it. Yeah. Because he's got this now, like this new bravado now that he quit his job. That whole thing about him having his dick under, like in a jar under the sink, that's the way he's been living his life up to this point. Yeah. So, but then there's another funny part right after this where the daughter's upstairs and the mom goes to talk to her
and she's like, the daughter's being dismissive, and she slaps her, and she's like, I lived in a duplex when I was your age.
Yeah.
It's like a duplex. But I don't like, I kind of feel like now I'm thinking right now, it's like this mom character never really gets any redemption in the movie.
No.
She's mean to pretty much everybody. And like fucks this guy who's going through a divorce, which would probably only make his divorce worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing I think is like, oh yeah, a man wrote this.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway.
So,
and then this next is when, right after that, Jane sees Ricky filming her from the house over. And then this is where she takes off her clothes.
yeah, so he starts filming her again through his window, and she takes her shirt off, and his dad comes into the room and like punches him, and so she like hides behind the curtain after.
Okay, but I want to ask you this real quick. You said you missed the part about the breast augmentation in the beginning?
But I heard her say it. I heard her talk about it later on.
Oh, okay. So at this point, did this scene where she takes her shirt off, did this make
No.
Right?
I thought it was just like, oh, he actually likes me, and I thought she was trying to be more like Angela.
Oh, no, this was like, because she wants a breast augmentation, she's like, obviously, like a lot of teenagers and just people in general are insecure about their bodies. This was like a big moment for her.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm going to show this guy my boobs, even though I'm insecure about my boobs. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
No, I didn't get that because I didn't get the scene at the beginning.
Damn.
I just thought it was.
I've been waiting to ask you about that.
Oh, it was just. Oh, she's trying to be more like Angela.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But he comes in and he like punches his son, and he's like, "What? How did you get in there?" Like, because to show her the Nazi plate, he had to get a key, and he had a key specially made.
Well, he said he got a lock picking thing from one of his clients, right?
No, well, he had a key when he opened it, and he told Jane, "Oh no, yeah, I know a locksmith," and he made me a key for
that's
it.
right.
But whenever his dad comes in, he's like, "How did you get in there?" He's like, "I got a lock picking thing. I just wanted to show my girlfriend the plate." And his dad stops because he's like, "Oh, he has a girlfriend. Okay, that's good."
Yeah, and he's like, "Look, like she's in the window over there."
And she hides, like she closes the window completely.
Well, yeah, she hides behind the curtain at first.
Yeah.
And
then she's naked.
when he looks over there, that's when she closes it.
Yeah. And so his dad's kind of like, "Okay, that's fine, but you can't be doing that. Like, you don't get to just do what you want." And you could see like his dad is abusive, but also runs a very strict household.
Yeah. Yeah, his dad is like, that's what I was saying about the thing with the doorbell at the beginning. It's like they want to convey that this house is on edge because the dad is just a psychopath that could just be set off at any second.
Yeah.
So this is it. Like they finally showed him.
That's probably why the mom is so catatonic and just like plain, because if she does anything, she's scared he'll do something to her.
Yeah, could be. They never really get into what's going on with her. But then like he blows up. Like as a parent, you can go to your kid and be like, "Why did you fuck with my things?"
Yeah.
You don't have to kick the door in and punch a kid in the face. And then like he kind of calms down.
Yes, you do. I'm kidding.
When was the last time you punched your kid in the face, Joliet?
I've never. You just call me Joliet.
Aaron, when did you punch Joliet in the face?
I've never done it, but I'm just saying. Sometimes you got to.
Sometimes you just have to. Yeah, and then he's like, "You need discipline and structure in your life."
Yes, Dad, thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
And you can tell that he's putting this on because earlier, whenever he was talking about the gay people, he said something his dad didn't like. And so he turned it around and was like, "Yeah, that grosses me out, sir." and he put on this like soldier persona on for his
and
dad.
he's like saying like, don't give up on me, and you can tell like he's just telling him what he wants to hear. And his dad falls for it. And that's pretty much the end of the scene. And then it shows Annette Bening shooting a gun at a shooting range, and it kind of made me want to go shoot a gun because I haven't shot one since I got out of the Army.
I don't think you need to.
I don't need to, but it's kind of fun. I mean, I'm not going to buy a gun, so don't worry about it. You can rent a gun, and shoot it.
I don't know. That still scares me.
Well, you don't have to go.
It still scares me that you would do it.
What?
I don't know.
What do you think is going to happen? I'm going to shoot myself or something?
No, I don't know. I just don't like it.
Okay.
I hate guns.
All right.
So much. They're terrible.
I've never owned a gun before.
I know.
I've only shot guns because I was in the Army.
I know.
That's it.
I know, but I hate it. I don't like guns at all. They scare me so much.
They're scary.
They're so fucking scary.
That's why
people
you
that
need
aren't
safety
scared
procedures.
of guns. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's something to me. Like, I've been around a lot of guns because I'm in the Army, but like the people who are very nonchalant or like relaxed about it, those are the people that scare me.
Yeah, I've
It's not
also grown up
something-
around guns because my family hunted all the time.
Yeah,
And-
your family is rural.
Yeah, they fucking love guns, and I hate going over there because of all the freaking guns.
Yeah. But when like people who act like that, those are the people that scare me because like they're very dangerous, and it's very easy to have an accident with a gun.
Yeah.
I don't trust a lot of people.
But she's at the shooting range and she shoots this gun, and they're like, "Oh, you're actually pretty good at it." And so she's bought this gun because she takes it with her, and I think she puts it in her glove box.
Yeah, she puts it in the glove box of her car. And then she comes home and she finds out that Lester bought a 1970 Firebird. And you like that car, Ethan?
I love Firebirds. My mom had a Firebird.
Yeah, I know. But
And so I've always-
specifically that one
Yeah.
I like a lot.
Yeah, I've always wanted a Firebird because my mom had one, and it was like the first car that I remember. It was red.
My mom had a 1980 Honda Civic.
I don't know what year my mom's car was, but I
it
know
was-
it
it
was
was
a Pontiac Firebird.
That's when my love of hatchbacks started. We'll look it up. So
I also liked Thunderbirds a lot.
Well, it's the same. No, wait, it's not. Thunderbird's a Ford. Never mind.
Yeah. I like the Pontiac better. Anyways. So she goes in, she's like, why did you buy that car? And he's like, oh, well, because I wanted it.
My cousin got one, and when I saw it, I said, I'm going to get myself that car. And so I did. And then I immediately thought about like, okay, he's 43, I'm 40, and I just bought...
Joey, please do
An
not have a
MRT.
sexual relationship with a child.
What? No. But it just made me think of like, oh, wait, I just bought a convertible that I've been wanting
know.
for a long time. Like, oh, God, I'm having a midlife crisis.
No, we're not.
I'm not.
It's ours together.
You're not midlife.
I know.
Just me.
Okay, you're not having one either because we got the car because I wanted it too.
Aaron, listen, you don't tell me when I have my midlife crisis.
You don't have one at all. You're never going to have one.
I'm going to have one, and it's happening right now.
No, I
and
don't
I don't
want
care what
you
you
to.
say. I can have a midlife crisis if I want.
You can also learn how to
Aaron?
speak English.
Aaron, you see this plate of asparagus I'm holding? I'm about to throw it at a wall.
And then I'm going to get a divorce from you. Anyways.
So anyway, they start fooling around there in the living room.
I liked this moment because I was like, oh, like he's actually putting the moves on her instead of fucking trying to think about Angela. And I was like, oh, good. And he has a beer on the couch, and this is when she like stops the moment. She seems to be into it, and he's like,
oh yeah, she totally is.
don't you remember this time when we were fun and crazy? And he's like, I want that back. And then she looks over and she sees that he's about to spill his beer on the couch. And she's like, don't spill the beer on the couch. And I'm like, yep, don't spill the beer on the fucking couch. Because guess who's going to have to clean it up? Probably her.
Well, I mean, if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to get something on the couch. And it ain't going to be beer.
Yeah.
Who cares, man? Just buy a shitty couch so you don't care if it gets messed up.
Anyways.
She says, like, this couch is upholstered in Italian silk.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
yeah, but
she is materialistic, but...
Well, I feel like this was, in a different movie, this would have been like one step to them in the third act when they say, like, hey, let's start over. Let's go back to before all the cheating and all this other shit. And let's, rekindle our relationship. But that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But it could have.
It could have.
Instead of him fucking a teenager. Or trying to, I mean. Yeah, just one way this movie could have gone better.
So after this moment, like, what happens right after that? Because I can't remember what.
This is when they're in the room and he's filming her and she's like.
This is when we see that first scene in its entirety.
Yeah, I believe so.
Where she says, like, he asks, do you want me to kill your dad? And she kind of says yes. But then, like, she like tells him to stop filming, and she tells him, I'm not serious.
Yeah, but this is also where he says, like, why he got sent to the hospital because his home life sucked, and then he went to school, and a kid made fun of him, and he beat the kid up, and that's why they sent him to the hospital.
Well, they sent him to military school, and then after military school, like, he got kicked out because of drugs.
Right.
And that's when they sent him to the mental hospital.
Okay.
There was something I was going to say about this. Oh, this is also when I found out that she wanted the breast augmentation, because she says something about, I have $2,000 from babysitting.
Yeah, that she's been saving up to get a boob job.
This is when I was like, oh. Now, if I would have known this beforehand, I think that scene would have been different.
Yeah.
When she shows her boobs.
Yeah, because she's she's in the window, she's not acting like Angela at all.
Yeah.
She's not being like, ooh, like trying to vogue and be stupid. It's intimate. It's like it's an intimate moment that she's having with him.
And I could see that it was, but I mean, she's not going to act just like Angela, but she's going to be like, oh, let me show him more. I don't know.
Right. All right. So this is when this is the beginning of the third act, and you can tell because the voiceover comes back, and Lester says, you said
you were going to stop talking about the voiceover, Joey.
No, I said I was going to stop talking about the voiceover in the beginning.
Okay.
This is the end voiceover.
Okay.
And there's even more voiceover after this.
Yeah.
And it says, he's like, you don't know the day you're going to die or something like that.
So now we know that this is the day he is going to die.
Yeah. And he goes out for a run, and you're like, why do I need this voiceover? Big deal. And he calls his daughter. He says, well, she says something to him, and he's like, you're going to end up like a bitch just like your mother. And then he instantly feels bad about it because that's a fucked up thing to say.
Does he? I don't remember him like...
Yeah, he says it to her, and she storms out, and he's like, Jesus, like, why did I say that? Because that's a horrible thing to say to your kid.
Especially about their mother.
Yeah. Well, he's calling them both of them bitches at the same time. Like, oh God, man, why would you? I just don't understand like people's dynamics and their relationships like that. It's like, if you feel the need to like refer to your wife as a bitch, it's like, why are you with that person? If you hate them that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it goes to the dad,
but there's no school this day, right? Like they don't go to school.
No, I don't think so.
Something happens to like get her. Oh, no. I think she's going to hang out with Angela again because they haven't hung out in a while.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she tells her mom, like, Angela's going to come spend the night one more. And they were like, oh, well, she hasn't been around for a while. So, And then that's when she tells her dad, she hasn't come around in a long time because you are fucking creepy around her.
Yeah.
You stare at her and it's weird and I don't like it. And then that's when he says like, oh, you're going to be a bitch like your mom.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got it right.
And so she storms off. I think she goes to hang out with Angela.
Yeah. And then they show the neighbor dad snooping around in his son's room. Mm-hmm. And he looks at the tapes and he finds Lester working out naked.
And so he's putting this thing together like, oh, is he lying about Jane? And is he actually, like, is he enjoying watching this guy? Because it looks, because it's just the top up, and he doesn't see that he's working out. It looks like he's jerking off.
Yeah, and then, I don't remember that. But anyway, there's also other things, like, he comes over that one time, and then he sees them, like, Ricky goes to get a ride to school with them, and Lester goes outside and does the finger and thumb thing. Call me,
yeah.
Right. And he's talking about weed, but it kind of looks like saying like, hey, call me so we can hook up and fuck later, So then I love this part. The wife and Buddy King or whatever have just finished hooking up, and they go through the drive-through at Mr. Smiley's, and
he Lester is at the in the restaurant, and he hears the voice from the speaker.
He recognizes
and he's
her
like,
voice.
That's my wife's voice.
Yeah.
And so they come up and to the window, and he gives them their food.
And he's like, smile, you're at Mr. Smiley's. And then they turn around and he's like, she's like, this is Buddy. And he goes, we've met before, but something tells me you're going to remember me this time.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care that they're fucking because he's like, he knows the relationship is done. And I love that the floor manager was like, you are so busted.
And she's like, get out of this. This isn't your business. And then he's like, actually, she's the manager of the window, so this is her business.
Yeah. He says, you're kind of on her turf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then they have a little blow up, and he says, like, I'm happy for you. If this is what is going to make you happy, then you should do it. So you're seeing yet another change in him, that he's becoming like okay with I guess his life and the way things are going.
He's accepting it.
Yes. And not even just accepting it, like coming out the other way is like, my wife, who we have a terrible relationship, has found happiness in another way. And I'm just cool with it.
Yeah.
Because it's better for her to be happy with someone else than to be miserable with me and making me miserable.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah.
But she doesn't get that. She thinks that he's upset with her, and she thinks her marriage is falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is, but.
Well, this is the real thing that happens is they go back to the hotel, and Buddy is like, look, I can't be doing this because
I'm going through my divorce.
Yeah. So not only is her marriage bad, like her affair has gone away now too.
Yeah.
So she's really fucking pissed.
And she has nothing anymore.
Yeah.
She has nothing to make her happy anymore.
No.
But then it like cuts to later, and we're at his house, and he's working out
he's working out, and he ran out of marijuana, and Angela is like being a dick and saying like she wants to
because when she comes into the house, she's like, oh, your dad, I'm gonna go talk to your dad, and Jane's like, oh my gosh. But Angela goes in there, she's like, oh, have you been working out? And then he kind of puts it on her like, oh, and he like steps down and he starts flirting with her, and she retreats. So you can tell that she's a little scared from it.
Right. She's
not into it in that moment. She's kind of like, I don't think this is okay. So she goes upstairs because he says something, and she steps back. I can't remember what she says.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But then like they go upstairs, and Angela's like talking about it, and Jane's like, look, don't fuck my dad. Like she's actually standing up to her and being like, look, you can't do this.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
But Angela's like, oh, but he's cute and whatever.
Yeah. And then Ricky goes over there to give the Lester some weed, and Lester's like, I don't know how to roll a joint, which I kind of have a hard time believing. Like he's been smoking all this weed and never learned how to roll a fucking joint.
Yeah. And so, but Ricky's dad is watching them through his window in the garage, and it looks like he's giving him head.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh my gosh, my son's gay. His son comes back over to their house, and his dad confronts him.
Yes. And instead of telling his dad what he wants to hear, he's like, yeah, I am gay. Like he goes the opposite way with it. He's like, yeah, I am gay. It's like, you should see me suck dick. Like I'm good at fucking and all that.
Yeah.
And his dad's like, you get out of here. And he's like, fine, I'll leave. And then, he goes and says goodbye to his mom.
I think the important thing about this was that Ricky was like, I'm not gay. Like, it's not what you think. Cause he thinks he's selling drugs. He thinks he found out that he was selling drugs. But then when he comes out with he's gay and I want you to leave my house, he's like, oh, let me lean into that so that you make me leave.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm trying to find okay, there it is. So where did you get that? From my job. Don't lie to me. Now I saw you with him. You were watching me? What did he make you do? Oh, Dad, you didn't really think that was me and Mr. Burnham were. Don't you laugh at me. Now I won't sit back and watch my son become a cocksucker. Jesus, what is with you?
I can tell you really like saying cocksucker right there.
Yeah. I swear to God, I'll throw you out of this house and never look at you again. You mean that? You're damn straight I do. I'd rather be with I'd rather you were dead than be a effing or fucking F word that I'm not going to say.
Yeah, I remember that now.
So he definitely is like, oh,
in the moment,
you're right. I suck dick for money instead of sell drugs.
Yeah. So in that moment, he's like, wait, you mean that you would kick me out? I was like, well, yeah, I want to be kicked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
So he leaves and he goes to Angela's house and he goes upstairs with Angela and he says, if I leave.
You mean Jane?
That's what I meant. Jane. If I leave, will you come with me? If I go to New York tonight with my $2,000, will you come with me? And she's like, I have my money saved up too. I'll go. We'll go. Yes, I'll go. And Angela's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
First she's like, I have $3,000. We can go. And he's like, I have $40,000 or something like that. So he's like super stacked and he knows people that who can help him out.
And Angela's like, you're just kids.
Yeah.
Or you're just a kid. He's an adult because he's 18 at this point.
Yeah. And then she's like, who are you going to stay with? And he's like, I know people who in the city. And she's like, what, who sell drugs? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is some of the dialogue that I think is really bad where they're like, she's like, well, at least I'm not ugly. And they're like, well, you're boring and you're ordinary and stuff. It's very on the nose. Like they didn't really need to say any of this. They could have like beat around it, the bush a little bit. But anyway, she runs out because she's upset that they called her ordinary.
Yeah. And she's sitting over there in the corner crying.
Yeah.
And this is when Lester comes back in the house.
Oops. No, this is...
No, not yet.
The Marine dad goes to Lester in the garage.
And he's soaking wet. And Lester opens the garage and he's like, dude, come inside. You're like soaking wet. Like, why are you out there? And he hugs Lester and...
Well, he says like, where's your wife? And he says, she's out, fucking some guy. And he's like, and you don't care? He's like, no, our marriage is just for show.
Yeah.
And he thinks it means like,
I'm actually gay.
Yeah.
She's
my beard.
Yeah.
So he tries to kiss him and he's like, "Whoa, I think you got the wrong idea." Mm-hmm. And so the guy just kind of storms off. And that's when he goes inside.
Yeah. And then at this moment is when I was like, okay, who's going to kill the dad? Because I know he's going to die today.
Yeah. And
is it going to be his wife? Is it going to be Ricky? Is it going to be Jane? Or is it going to be him?
Yeah.
Because I knew he was gay from that first moment when he was talking with the gay people with his son.
Well, I know that the kids aren't going to kill him.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
I knew that because they just want to run away.
Yeah.
And they don't really have any, he's not holding them there or anything. So, but they've shown the wife in the car, like crying.
And she grabs her gun.
She's looking at her gun, and then they show her walking up to the house in the rain with her gun. And you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen?
And then we see, he goes up to Angela and they kiss and they're about to do it. And then she tells him that she's a virgin, that she's never done this before. And that's what stops him from sleeping with her.
Yeah. And I've already got into
we've already
this part,
gone.
so I don't need to say it again.
He's sitting at the table and he's looking at the picture of.
One more thing I do want to say about the sex scene is like when he says that when she says she's a virgin and he stops, like he becomes very paternal, you know, like he's talking to his daughter, and it was really creepy.
Yes.
And I was like, I do not.
It shows
like
you how
part.
creepy this whole thing fucking was.
Yeah. But then you go like, oh, maybe he just missed his daughter or whatever. Because it shows them in the kitchen later, and he's being very paternal again, and like made her a sandwich and something like that.
Does he?
Yeah, she's like eating, isn't she? Or
I don't remember.
drinking some. I don't know. But they're just talking, and it's like kind of like a father-daughter type chat, right? Which is also creepy.
Yeah. She goes to the bathroom at some point, and then he's sitting at the table looking at the picture, and we see a gun up to his head, and then we see blood splatter on the wall. And then.
Well, you're kind of skipping over the important parts. Like he asked Angela's like, "What? How's my daughter doing?"
Oh yeah,
because she won't talk to me, and she's like, "Well, she thinks she's in love." Right.
And he gets happy about that.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I wish, you know, I remember when I was a teenager and I thought I was in love, you know, you can tell that. And then like she leaves and he's looking at a picture of the three of them together. And it's kind of sweet, you know, because he's like, you know, you think he's like, oh, I figured out what life is really about and what's really important in life. And then that's when he gets shot. Yeah. So it's like, a cruel, like how life can be cruel, I guess. But it doesn't really hit that hard because he just tried to rape an underage girl.
Yeah. But then it shows different people at the point of when the gun was shot. So it shows we're, I think, upstairs in Jane's room, and her and Ricky are together. I think they were in bed or something.
Yeah, they were like cuddling or something.
And they hear a gunshot, and so they sit up. And then we cut to Angela in the bathroom, and then we hear the gunshot. And then the mom is walking with the gun outside in the rain, and then we hear the gunshot. And then we see Ricky's dad taking his shirt off that's covered in blood.
Yeah, he had ran back home to like take his shirt off. And you realize that he did it. It kind of makes me wonder, it's like, would the wife have killed him too?
I don't know.
Like,
maybe.
what if she had got to him first?
But then the next thing that happens is she's up in her closet and she like hugs the clothes and falls on the floor crying.
Yeah, because she saw that he was shot in the head. Yeah. And then, the kids find him. And then there's finally some more VO. And I put in my notes, live fast, die young, and leave a beautiful corpse. Yeah. And what does he say? He's like, they say your life flashes before your eyes, but then he was something, it was kind of like the same. Oh, and it's just like, he says some of the stuff, like the first time he saw the Firebird and Janie, and he's like, I guess I could be pretty pissed off about what happened to me, but it's hard to stay mad when there's so much beauty in the world. So it kind of goes back to that really on the nose shit from the monologue that Ricky was saying about the bag. And I don't like it. We could have just done without all of this. Like, we saw that he was happy looking at the picture. Just be like, he's dead. Cool. Yeah. And then, it could have shown the kids like being happy. Because you do, you want the kids who ran away to be like happy.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And that's it. That's the movie.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, I have to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 9 cat lives, where do you rate the 1990 Academy Award-winning film?
1999?
1999 Academy Award-winning film, American Beauty.
I would say it is 7 cat lives. I think that there were some things done well in this movie. The actor that played Janie and Angela, I mean, everyone did a really great job in their acting. I just feel like some of the dialogue is too much at times and not enough in others, but also it's a really tough subject to watch, and I don't feel bad for him at all. I hate him still. So I don't think they did a good job of like giving him that redemption. Because like you're supposed to feel bad for him, right? I don't. At all.
No.
You almost had sex with a fucking child.
Hey, look, everybody can screw up once, right?
No.
Not about that one. Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm going to give it the same score, 7 out of 9 cat lives. When I first saw this back in the 90s, I would have given it a 9 out of 9, and then apparently so did the Academy Awards because they gave it 5 fucking Oscars. Best Picture.
Probably because there were a fucking ton of child predators that were like, oh, No,
I just think that whole aspect of like that, people didn't think about it that much. They've been like, oh, this girl's a high school senior. Like, but now people are much more touchy about that type of thing. Like back then I would have given it a 9 out of 9. And also I was a teenager and Mina Silvari was a teenager in the movie. So it wouldn't have, the whole age thing wouldn't have made sense to me because I'm just seeing, I'm a teenager and I'm seeing another hot teenager. So it wouldn't have, and also I'm a boy, like a girl maybe would have seen it differently. But this movie I think is really good. It has a lot of really great themes. It makes you feel a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Performances, top notch. The direction, really great. Cinematography, really great. But I feel like it's overshadowed by that storyline. And if they had changed that, I think this movie would have endured. People would have been like, yeah, it deserves all 5 of those Oscars. But it's creepy and it steps on its own dick in a way with that part of it. Because the guy you're supposed to care about the most at the end of the movie and say like, look how much he's grown and look how great he is just minutes after almost having like hooked up with a minor.
He also kissed her.
Yeah, he kissed her. Like he fully makes the move.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just it's just bad. I got in a stupid argument with somebody on Reddit, a few people on Reddit, because I mentioned that like I think this fucked the movie up for today's audiences, and they're like, no, you're stupid. And they're like, he's trying to recapture his youth. I'm like, yeah, they show him recapturing his youth over and over again. We don't also need to make him a statutory rapist. Yeah. So it kind of, it bums me out because I used to love this movie so much that's the legacy it's going to have now. So that's why I'm giving it 7 out of 9. I'm giving it the 7 for everything else, and the 2 for that it doesn't get is because of statutory rape.
Yeah. So yeah.
So that is our review of American Beauty. And we are now going to play a little game.
Yeah, a little game. It's tough. It's a tough game. So we are gonna play Me Too'd. Good for you.
Me Too Boogaloo.
Me Too. Good for you. I don't know. So these are people that got Me Too'd, and you are going to have to guess their name. If they, I'm going to give you information about them, and then if you can't guess who they are based off of that, then I'll tell you what they did. And then also you'll get extra points if you can tell me their name and what they did without me going into what they did. Okay?
Okay, let's do it. This is kind of like To Catch a Predator.
I guess. Okay.
Chris Hansen, was that his name?
Trying to zoom in because I am blind. Cannot see. Okay. Let's see. This person is a Polish film director, producer, and writer and actor. They made films in Poland, Britain, France, and the U.S. He's considered one of the few truly international filmmakers.
Is it Roman Polanski?
You are correct.
Yeah. Well, didn't he have like sex with a 13-year-old or something?
I have no idea. It's not popping up yet. Hold on. Let me see.
He won't. Man, Roman Polanski, there's so much weird shit around that guy.
What did Roman
his wife was killed by the Manson family, too.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And he won't come back now to the U.S. because he'll probably be...
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
He admitted to the rape of a 13-year-old Samantha Gaynor.
Yeah,
in
and he
1977.
He won't come back to the U.S. because I think he'll be prosecuted. He's afraid of being prosecuted.
Gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good filmmaker, though.
What did he do? Director of Chinatown?
I don't know. I can't think of what he's done.
Okay.
Yeah, he did Chinatown. What else you got?
This actor is a screen and the stage, film director, producer, screenwriter, and singer.
Oh.
He began on the stage as a stage actor in the 80s before obtaining supporting roles in film and television.
Oh, boy. Can you tell me something he's done, maybe? What other information can you give me?
Oh, give me a sec. They have been in LA Confidential.
Is it Kevin Spacey?
It is Kevin Spacey.
He was director?
I guess.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Do you know what they did?
No, I don't know specifics.
Okay. Well, they were acquitted of 9 charges against him, including 7 counts of sexual assault, 1 count for causing a person to engage in sexual activity without consent, and 1 count of causing a person to engage in penetrative sex activity without consent. But they were acquitted for all 9 charges.
Yeah, he was.
Gross.
And I think there was he did some shit to scare these people out of suing him or dropping the charges. He's a fucking psychopath, I'm pretty sure. He's a fucked up dude. Real fucked up.
Okay. This next person Okay, sorry. Born in 1972 in Berkeley, California, raised in Cambridge, Massachusetts, to mother Chris Ann Bolt. She was a school teacher.
Oh.
He also has a younger brother who is a performer and has won an Academy Award.
Oh, no. This is harder than I thought it was going to be. I don't know.
Let me see. They were in Argo.
Argo? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I never saw Argo.
Last hint is there's a duck that says his last name.
Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck.
Well, what was he accused of? He's still around. He's still working.
Let me see. Where is it at? I'm trying to look it up, but it's not showing the rest of the article. Okay. Oh, so his isn't necessarily that he abused someone. Rose McGowan accused Affleck of lying about his knowledge of Harvey Weinstein's abuse.
Oh, okay.
So he must have known about it, or potentially have known about it.
Okay.
And she was saying he didn't speak up for her.
Okay.
So he didn't, I guess he's kind of like an accessory.
Yeah, he didn't assault anybody, but
that we know of.
I mean, lots and lots of people knew about Harvey Weinstein and didn't say anything.
Oh, yeah.
He was so powerful in Hollywood, people were afraid of not getting work, you know.
Okay. This person is a well-known entertainer and comedian. Was born 1937.
1937?
Mm-hmm. In Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to Ann Pearl. He joined the Navy.
In the Navy,
mm-hmm.
You can sail the seven seas.
Any guesses?
No. Don't know.
They used to do a comedy show, but then they also had a television multicam TV show.
Oh, Bill Cosby?
Bill Cosby.
Oh, man. He's a real piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
You know what he was accused of?
He was accused of raping 70 women or something like that.
Yeah, and roofing women.
Yeah. I watched that 3-part documentary on Prime about him. When all that came out, I remember thinking oh, I never really liked Bill Cosby's comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And people used to give me shit about it, you should like Bill Cosby. He doesn't curse in his act. He's an upstanding citizen and stuff like that. And I'm glad I never liked him now, because those people have to eat their words and I don't.
Yeah.
I've never liked Bill Cosby.
But officially, it was 9 women who filed a sexual assault lawsuit against him after Nevada passed a law eliminating the status of the
statute of limitations. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to read, but it's blurry.
Oh, it's okay. But man, that statute of limitations things on sexual assault and rape is stupid. They really should get rid of that everywhere.
Okay. Last one.
Okay.
This person is a screenwriter and the director of 9 films, was born 1944 in New York City to a successful garment manufacturer.
Successful garment manufacturer?
Mm-hmm. Graduated Harvard College in 1966. They taught creative writing at City College in New York in the early 70s. He suffered from gambling issues as well.
I don't know.
Let me see. Hold on. He was one of the writers for Bugsy.
Bugsy? Don't know that.
I'm trying to find another little thing about him. Sorry. It's not all in one little thing because it hides some of the text.
Right.
So Do you want me to tell you what they did?
Sure.
They were a former Crimson editor. They were accused in a lawsuit for taking advantage of his members in the Harvard Club of New York City to sexually abuse women by luring his victims in the Harvard Club for meals and drinks and attacking them in the Harvard Club dining room, stairwell, bathrooms, and hotel rooms.
Holy shit. I don't know.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah,
38 women accused them.
Oh, shit. Charlie Rose, maybe?
No.
I don't know.
James Toback.
I don't know who that is.
Oh. I don't know if he's... I don't know what he, if he wrote anything or directed anything.
You said Bugsy?
Yeah.
I know that movie. I don't know anything about the writer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a real fun game.
Kind of somber.
Yeah. Maybe we should cut this out.
Maybe. But I think it's kind of relevant. Like, there's a lot of people talking about abuse in the industry right now. There's a docu-series
About the Nickelodeon
about
guy?
Nickelodeon, yeah. And not just the one guy. What's his name?
I don't remember his name.
But also the other people he would surround himself with that were sexually abusing children and other people.
Yeah, these people find each
On
other
set, yeah.
somehow. You know, like what's Epstein and Maxwell? Like they found each other somehow. It's fucked up. I think it's important for us to tell these stories, and I'm glad a lot of this shit is getting out in the open now, because people might think twice before they, try to do this type of stuff. It's really unfortunate that so many institutions spent so many years covering this shit up when they should have been talking about it to discourage people from trying it.
Yeah.
I hope, 20 years from now, we're in a better place with this than we are now. And
It's Dan Schneider.
Dan Schneider. Yeah, that's
he was the guy that was who potentially was abusing Amanda Bynes and he probably was. And Jamie Lynn Spears even.
I don't know who that is.
Britney Spears' little sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
she had a TV show called Zoe 101, but they had to cancel it because she got pregnant halfway through.
Oh.
People have a theory that he impregnated her, which would be terrible.
Yeah.
But also that TV show Drake Bell was abused by the on-set dialogue coach, Brian Peck.
Wow.
Who not only worked with, he's worked with so many people. He worked with Leonardo DiCaprio when he was younger. He worked with, there's a list.
Yeah.
Of people. What's the guy that was Cyclops?
James Marsden.
Yes, he worked with James Marsden.
Oh,
but
wow.
James Marsden even wrote a letter to the judge when all of this was happening, saying like, "Oh, I can't believe he would do that. If he did do this, it was because he was he felt that I can't put in my words together, but that he was pressured by Drake to do it."
What?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's very victim blaming. All of the letters are very victim blaming.
Jesus
but
Christ.
He could have also, they could have told him "Oh, well, he's saying this, and yeah, he touched him, but he was making advances on Brian." They could have played it in many, many different ways. And then there's also been things that potentially Drake Bell has also abused a girl, but he did a plea deal, and he said he did the plea deal just so it would go away.
Right.
Because I could believe that, but also a girl was saying he was abusing her sexually when she was 15.
Yeah.
And he was an adult.
Yeah. And I really hate it when people say stuff like, "Oh, how did these places let this happen? How come nobody spoke up?" And it's because these people spend a lot of time thinking about what they're going to do and coming up with plans and ways of manipulating people.
Yeah, not even just the kids, manipulating their parents into
Their
allowing
parents, bosses, everybody around them. And people just go like, people, you know, that's a way of victim blaming and saying like, oh, these people should have said something. And it's like, no, like these people, you have to look for the telltale signs of it.
And they may have said something, because one of the things, Drake Bell's dad was very adamant that he didn't want Drake with Brian Peck alone ever.
Yeah, and they don't want it to look bad on their company, so they sweep it under the rug, right? So that's why it's important to tell all these stories, in my opinion, so that people can notice the telltale signs.
Yeah.
And so they know that people spend a lot of time and energy figuring out how they can infiltrate certain institutions like the Boy Scouts,
The church. Many churches.
Yeah, schools, because it happens in just
School
regular schools
all the time.
People become teachers so that they can be around kids to do the thing. It doesn't happen the other way around where you start hanging out with kids and all of a sudden you start becoming attracted to kids.
Yeah, no.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
People are born attracted to children.
Yes.
It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So that's why I'm glad like we're telling these stories and we're getting this out in the open.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to cut that because I mean, like these people's stories.
Yeah, we weren't actually going to cut that.
No, I know.
We never
But-
cut anything.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's important that we keep it in because, like, people's stories need to be told. I've also heard that other people are starting to.
Oh, and also we
Talk
need
about
to
people's-
announce that we're going to we're going to start a new podcast called Crime the Cat, and it's a true crime podcast.
I didn't know about this, but that sounds kind of cool. If you want that, please let us know.
Oh, we're not doing that.
Yeah, no, we don't have time for that. We barely have time for this show. But yeah, that was our game, and we also went on a little spiel about inappropriate relationships in Hollywood. So
Yeah, if you're still listening to this, kudos to you.
because we're going way over time.
Yeah, we're like 2 hours and 30 minutes long
Oh
here.
my gosh.
Okay, that's going to do it for the podcast. If you want to write into us and tell us we're wrong about sexual predators, it's joeyanderinpod at gmail.com. Or you can just write in and talk to us about a movie you want us to cover.
Yep.
We might actually do it.
If you send it in,
yeah, but you got to write us.
or we'll never see it.
You know, you can't just think it. All right, so that's going to do it for us, guys. Don't forget to slay and neuter your cats. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. It's 9:00.